Come on in, welcome to Idled Out, where we talk all things Survivor. My name is Luke, and today we're talking about censored votes on Survivor. Whether it's flipping the bird, Amanda, or a gay kiss at the family visit, Survivor and censorship have a long and storied history together. Lesbians. Better cut away. While there have been many blurry bottoms throughout Survivor's history, incredibly, only a handful of votes have ever had words so uncouth they required a blur. Yep, when pen comes to parchment, survivors are rarely in need of censorship, unless you flat out refuse to vote for one of your available options and thus break the rules. You can pretty much write anything on there, and people have. From incomprehensible nicknames to seemingly intentionally misspelled spelling to a gun shooting the name of the person you're voting out. What? You can basically write or draw anything up there on the parchment so long as it also includes a name. In fact, Survivor censoring some part of the parchment is so uncommon it has only happened 4 times, to my knowledge. It is possible this has happened more and has gone unreported or underreported, but these are the ones I can personally verify. So this will be the rare idled out top 4, constituting 6 votes, as we navigate the handful of votes deemed unfit for TV. We'll go in order of least to most iconic, and at the risk of being demonetized by my pearl-clutching YouTube overlords, I'll even tell you what the votes reportedly said. All that said, let's take a look at the Survivor parchments, censored by CBS. At number 4 are Natalie, Russell, and Mick's votes for Brett at the Final 4 of Survivor Samoa. Brett is famously one of the most invisible, under-edited contestants of all time. A man who had 8 episodes where he received 0 confessionals, despite making the Final 4, having extremely high win equity, and a reportedly incredible social game, as well as being the final boss of the season the Foa team needed to take down for one of them to win. He is more famous for Russell's confessional about him than anything he did on the show.
He's no Mike Tyson. He's Brett.
When Brett lost the Final 4 immunity challenge, the writing was on the wall. He was kaput. But on his way out the door, the Final 3, Natalie, Russell, and Mick, tried to do Brett a solid in their votes for him by shouting out his t-shirt company on their voting parchment. The very 2000s in both design and name, the Monument of Our Hearts. The shirts Brett wore in the game and in his cast photos are from this brand. Unfortunately for Brett, the only ads CBS is going to run on Survivor are ones that are paid for, so they subtly censored the advertisement from all 3 parchments. That clone stamp tool was working overtime. Nevertheless, the actual votes can be seen on the DVD, while the other parchments we're about to get to used foul language in an intentionally retaliatory or reactionary way and were thus censored. This is actually a pretty sweet moment from the Samoa Final 3, scrubbed away by the censors, but for somewhat understandable reasons. Incredible. They actually removed the one nice thing Russell did this entire season. At number 3 is Michaela's vote for JT at the Final 16 of Survivor Game Changers. There was no love lost between Michaela and JT this season, and Michaela's parchment made that very clear. Swapped to new Nuku together, Michaela and JT were just oil and water, apples and oranges, Varner and not outing somebody. They just did not get along. JT was already on the ropes on this tribe after inadvertently getting his closest and only ally Malcolm eliminated at the prior joint tribal council, but he found an idol for protection. In the meantime, he's trying to put the target on Michaela, one of the leading anti-JT voices on this tribe. When Nuku wins a coffee reward, things aren't as sweet as they seem, as JT and Michaela cannot stop arguing over sugar. JT thinks Michaela uses too much. Oh, so now you like sugar? I live for this sort of petty drama on Survivor. This is like the most trivial of office squabbles transported directly to Fiji. It's incredible. Sandra decides to exacerbate the situation between the two and covertly eats the remaining sugar, successfully setting up a JT or Michaela boot at the next tribal council. JT confidently assumed Michaela was going, but Michaela, along with Sandra and Varner, blindsided him. And she gave him a lovely parting message. Hashtag, bye bitch. While censored when Jeff is reading the votes, it actually did appear uncensored during JT's final words. And my guess is they simply did not want bye bitch to start trending alongside Survivor. Which, fair enough. We'd hate for the audience to think this is some overly negative season or something. At number 2 is Aussie's vote for Cochran at the final 11 of Survivor South Pacific. Aussie was none too happy with John Cochran after Cochran flipped on his alliance the prior round. At the merge, evenly matched 6-6, Savai and Apolu are deadlocked and all parties involved are willing to go to rocks. Except Cochran, who flips on his original tribe, dooming them all, himself included, to be picked off one by one in what has to be the most boring pagonging in the show's history. At the final 11, almost certainly knowing he was going home, Aussie decides to protest vote against Cochran with a play on his name, of which we only saw COC blur. If I gave you several guesses, you still wouldn't get it. In fact, it's actually kinda disappointing to me. There are so many better, more childish options Aussie could have gone with. Head, will do, plain old cock. Any of those would have been better than what we later learned was cock run. COCKRUN. Frankly, I expect better from Aussie. Obviously, before we learned what Aussie actually wrote, this was the talk of the town in Exit Press. Even Probst addressed it. In a contemporary interview, he stated that, quote, Aussie made a very obvious play on words with Cochran's name, but since there are kids watching, I won't say it. You figure it out. That's Aussie. To wrap this up, I'm still not convinced that this was an intentional dig at Cochran. This is Aussie we're talking about. I think if he wanted to make a play on Cochran's name, he could have done better. There's a non-zero chance he just misspelled his way into censorship. The most iconic blurred vote in Survivor history is Sugar's vote for Ace at the final 12 of Survivor Gabon. Sugar the food may have been responsible for Michaela's censored vote. Sugar the woman is responsible for this one. In Gabon, Sugar and Ace were quite the pair in the pre-swap portion of the game. Ace, the smarmy, cocksure photographer with the nice suit and the fake British accent, selected Sugar for Coda because a photographer always needs his model.
I don't think it would be appropriate for a photographer not to have a model. Sugar, please?
Yes. Oh.
Together on Coda, they did pretty well, but after getting swapped together to the Fong tribe, their relationship ultimately began to wither and die, as all things on Fong do. Kenny very successfully pit Sugar against Ace, convincing her that Ace had been manipulating her all along, and that she has to chop off the big, shiny, bald head of the snake. Wait, you're telling me that this guy is evil? This guy? You're sure? Sugar is ultimately convinced when Ace asks her for her idol, which she takes as a sign he's about to backstab her. So at Tribal, she casts the deciding vote for Ace to send him out 3-2. And she writes down Ace blank. What could it be? Ace of Spades? Ace Hardware? Okay, this one's pretty obvious. Sugar let Ace know that he's an ace-hole on his way out the door. While I was bummed to lose Survivor's resident Bond villain and/or budget porn star lookalike so early, getting completely undone in an afternoon by Sugar's mercurial nature was a fitting end for our favorite ace-hole. Which, hey man, don't feel bad. That'll be the fate of like 80% of this cast. Got nothing else for ya. Don't be an acehole. Like and subscribe, and I'll get you more Survivor content just like this. Until next time, don't get idled out.